I am Leonardo, a father who at times feels invisible in his own home. I work hard, I try to guide my children, and yet there are moments when I wonder if my words carry any weight at all. I call their names and they don't answer. I ask them questions and they grunt in response. I set rules and they roll their eyes. It's not that they are bad kids. No, I know they are good at heart. But this world, this era, makes it easy for children to question authority, to challenge respect, to act as if parents are just background noise in their ever-busy lives. And I, like many fathers, sometimes find myself caught between frustration and love. So what do I do when my children seem to ignore me? When they speak to me with sharp tongues or dismiss me as if I'm just another household object? I have learned, through trial and error, through failure and perseverance, that there are 5 key ways to handle this kind of challenge. 1. Master your emotions. Don't let circumstances dictate your response. There was a time when my son, Mateo, looked me in the eye and told me, "You don't understand anything." That hit me harder than any insult from a stranger ever could. My first instinct was to raise my voice, to show him who was in charge. But what would that have done? It would have made him retreat further, harden his stance, and refuse to listen. I've learned that I cannot let my emotions rule me. If I explode every time I feel disrespected, I am teaching my children that emotional outbursts are acceptable responses to frustration. Instead, I pause. I breathe. I remind myself that I am the adult in the room. Discipline is not just about controlling children. It is about controlling ourselves first. If I do not master my own emotions, how can I teach them to master theirs? So when my children push my buttons, I take a step back. I respond, not react. I let them know that I will not engage in a conversation filled with disrespect, but I also do not lash out in anger. This is not weakness, this is strength. And over time, they have learned that they cannot provoke me into an emotional battle because I refuse to play that game. 2. Listen with wisdom, not weakness. There was a period when I would hear my children complain, and I would immediately try to correct them. They would say, "You never let me do anything." And I would jump in with, "That's not true, I let you do plenty." But I realized something important. When children feel unheard, they resist even more. So I started listening, not just with my ears, but with my mind. Listening does not mean agreeing. It does not mean giving in. It means seeking to understand before responding. When my daughter Sophia snapped at me the other day, I could have shut her down. Instead, I asked, "Why are you upset?" At first she resisted, but when she saw that I was truly listening, she opened up. It wasn't about me, it was about her bad day at school, her frustration with a friend. By listening, I showed her that I respect her thoughts, even when I don't agree with her words. And by doing so, I earned a level of respect in return. 3. Define your limits, then defend them. As a father, I have learned that boundaries are not about control, they are about order. Without clear limits, a household falls into chaos. When my children were younger, they tested every rule. And for a while I bent too often. I let things slide. But I learned the hard way that when rules are inconsistent, children push further. Now I set clear boundaries. I don't expect them to agree with every rule, but I expect them to follow them. And when they cross the line, there are consequences, firm but fair. When Mateo slammed his door in anger, I told him, "You can be upset, but slamming doors is not acceptable. If it happens again, you will lose your phone privileges for the night." He tested me. He did it again. And I followed through. The next time he stopped himself. Not because I was harsh, but because he knew I meant what I said. Children may resist limits, but deep down, they need them. Boundaries create security. When they know what is expected and what the consequences are, they learn responsibility and respect. 4. Live the standard you expect. This is perhaps the hardest lesson for any parent. It is easy to demand respect. It is harder to model it. There was a time when I would tell my children to be patient, yet I would lose my patience with them. I would tell them to speak kindly, yet I would speak sharply. I expected them to act a certain way while excusing my own behavior. I had to change. If I want my children to respect me, I must first respect them. This does not mean giving them control. It means treating them with the same dignity I expect from them. I now make it a point to say please and thank you to them. I apologize when I make mistakes. I show them that authority and respect can coexist. And you know what? They notice. The more I model respect, the more they mirror it back to me. 5. Step back to step up. There are moments when the best response is to say nothing at all. When emotions are high, when words are sharp, sometimes the wisest move is to step back. I used to engage in every argument, thinking that I needed to win. But I have realized that not every battle is worth fighting in the moment. When Sophia rolls her eyes and walks away, I don't chase after her demanding an apology. I let the moment breathe. Later, when she has calmed down, I revisit the conversation. I don't let the disrespect slide, but I address it when we are both in a state to communicate effectively. Growth happens in the pauses. When I take a step back, I gain clarity. I see things from a broader perspective, and I come back stronger, not weaker. Before the final words, if you find the content useful, please subscribe to the Mature Soul channel so you don't miss the next videos on the maturity. You will find content that change the way you look at life. Now, being a father is not about demanding obedience. It is about guiding, leading, and most of all, loving, even in the face of disrespect. I have learned that respect is not something I can force. It is something I must cultivate. And when I approach my children with strength, wisdom, and consistency, they in turn learn the value of respect, not just for me, but for themselves and for others. So to every father who feels ignored, to every parent who wonders if their words matter, they do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep standing firm. Your children may not show it now, but one day they will remember, and they will respect you not because you demanded it, but because you lived it. Thank you, and see you next time.